Here we are again.
We are indeed.
It's been a couple of days. Yeah. So you're watching the Australian Guitar Show. My name is Ricky. This is Reuben from Brookfield Tube Audio. Man, I've had a fair bit of fun the last couple of days with these amps.
Good stuff.
Yeah. The R18 grabs me especially.
Yeah.
And probably because I'm just a sucker for a nice reverb and trem. So look, for you, the amplifier building.
Yeah.
How far back does that go for you? Like, when did you kick off?
I worked most of my professional life. I started as an entertainment technician, I guess, doing theatre mostly when I was about 15.
Mm-hmm.
So I've worked around, I was a keen muso as well, and getting involved in being paid to be backstage, I discovered very young, was a much more reliable way of making money than being in a band. And so, I started out unloading trucks and, putting sets together and that sort of stuff, and graduated eventually to working as an audio engineer, which is what I've done for the bulk of my career. And I got an interest in being able to fix things and tinker with things, and I bought myself a Hammond organ when I was about 16,
mm-hmm.
and they're cranky old bits of kit.
It's not that one in the corner, is it?
Yes, I still have one of them. It's not the same one.
Oh, it's not the same one?
Not the same one, but very similar.
Yeah.
But they're cranky old. The first one I bought was built in about 1963, and they need a bit of TLC to keep them going.
Yeah, of course.
And my old man, he had an old 63 Fender Bandmaster that, it's a gorgeous amp. It's lived a hard life, but it still sounds fantastic. But it blew up on him at some point in time and got put away in the cupboard, and he'd moved on to career and family and wasn't playing a lot, and then got to a point in his life where he wanted to fix it up, and I thought, well, that's the kind of project that interests me. So that was the first amp that I really, first tube amp that I got inside and mucked around with, and that's probably going back about 10 years.
I mean, obviously, you working on your dad's amp probably got the ball rolling.
Definitely.
And then building that, where was the point where you crossed over to think, I'd like to develop my own brand and product?
It was probably while I was building that, to be honest. I didn't expect to jump into it quite so quickly. Definitely while I was building that, I really enjoyed the process of putting together the chassis and the layout, and it, we were talking about how when you plug into an amp and you connect with it and it speaks to you,
yeah.
Sitting there with the soldering iron and a box full of parts, and watching a box full of parts turn into something that at the end of it I can plug my guitar into and it connects, I was like, I could do this.
That's what really drew me to that R18 was that tone pot, the way that you can just roll it through and it just, it just changes the shape slightly, to be able to go from guitar to guitar and just change that one pot to get such a wide difference of tone, just to dial in the guitar, that particular guitar, and then bang, you're off again.
It really surprised me when I built the 18-watt version for my old man. He'd been playing through the Bandmaster since I put it back together for him, and he liked that Fender sound, but back in the 80s he used to play through a Marshall Super Lead 100-watt head, so he also had history with the Marshall sound. He wanted reverb, which the Bandmaster doesn't have, and he sometimes used the tremolo in the Bandmaster, so I wanted to find so he was talking about something like a Fender Deluxe Reverb, that slightly less horsepower than the Bandmaster, still loud enough to gig with, single 12, so it's luggable. And I thought, well, maybe I can find that middle ground between the kind of Fender cleans, put the reverb in there, but also have that, you crank it up and get onto the edge of breakup and push it a little bit, and it starts getting into that Marshall-y kind of rock territory. And so I found the Marshall 18-watt circuit and butchered it and mucked around with it. But yeah, when I put it together and played around with that tone knob, because that was my one reservation about it, was am I going to want to put a bass mid treble tone stack in this? And I didn't.
You mentioned the other day doing custom builds and modifications and stuff like that. You're completely cool with that. So if anybody wanted to just say, touch base with you and go, this is what I want.
Absolutely.
So kind of like what your old man did.
Yep.
And just from there, you would just kind of work through what would be your process once they kind of told you what they were after.
To be honest, that's how most of what I'm developing into my stock lineup have come about through this basic process, which is either a player comes to me and says, I want something and I haven't been able to find what it is yet. I like these types of players and sounds. When I've been to the guitar shop and I've plugged into this, I really like this about that amp, but it didn't have this. And so we can put together a picture of the sort of base starting point. We're going to work with the Marshall circuit here because, they're into playing hard rock.
Yeah, that's a pretty special thing to be able to offer because, obviously when you do walk into a music shop, what you get is what's there. That's it.
Yeah.
You build the cabinets yourself?
I do. That's probably been the steepest learning curve for me. I hadn't done woodwork since middle of high school.
So I failed woodwork miserably.
I wasn't interested in it. In high school. I liked metalwork. I was into push bikes and stuff like that, and metalwork made more sense to me because I wanted to learn how to weld.
And so obviously the Moroni colours, kind of a bit of your signature.
Yes.
Yeah. But doing a custom finish is no problem. Like if somebody said, absolutely. No, I want a furry one or something.
Yeah. No, I've got a guy who wanted like British. It's almost British racing green, emerald green. Yeah, nice. So I've got a roll of green in the shed for that cabinet. If you can find the material and it's roadworthy as it were and easy enough to work with, I'll put it on your cabinet. Yeah.
What about the idea, doing a head and separate cab? Is that?
Yes,
that'd be cool as well.
Definitely. But the green one will be. It's an interesting brief that he gave me for that actually. He wanted a 100 watt bass amp, a display piece in his home studio. Like hi-fi, exposed tubes, exposed transformers, all of that.
Like what's sitting on top, you mean? Like that, yeah, cool.
A timber baseboard with the green, and then the exposed chassis. But nice. Then with a head cab, kind of like a vintage Marshall Plexi or something, that style of head cabinet, with 4 latches. So you just drop the head cab over the top, snap together the 4 latches, and then you can take it gigging with you.
That is cool.
So that's the concept for that one. Yeah. He's already got the speaker cab. But
convertible amplifier.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's cool. The new amp you've been building, tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. It is based on the old Fender AB763 circuit, which...
my favourite set.
Everybody has played through at some point a deluxe reverb or a Vibrolux reverb, a Bandmaster, a twin, super reverb, pro reverb. So I wanted to do something like that, but I've, as I like to do, I've messed around with it a little bit. And we've also got a master volume on there as well.
Yeah, that's a big bonus.
So you can juice the preamp and still get some, that preamp crunch and a sensible volume.
What are you thinking cabinet-wise for that and speaker?
This particular one has a customer, and it will be going in the same style cabinet as the R18. So it is going in a single 12.
We can find you online.
Yep, we're on Facebook,
Instagram. You got your website as well.
I do.
Your website is
www.brookfieldtubeaudio.com.au.
Excellent, man. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Cheers.
You've been watching the Australian Guitar Show. Uru.